Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Cordani. I'm a trainer and travel agent with Archer Travel, and today we're going to be learning about Google Forms and how to use them. Typically, I normally use Google Forms to qualify my clients for travel. So what I like to do is introduce myself. Um, so I introduce my brand, what we do for you know, I'm an all-inclusive travel agent. I like to do luxury, family, all-inclusive resorts, and spas, cruises, wedding and honeymoons, domestic, international. I pretty much do all types of bookings. So this could be related to every single person that I would come across in public or online. I host events, like vendor events. So I also use a different form for vendor events so that I can get them scheduled at a later date instead of having to stand there and get all their contact information. And that takes up time when they can just fill out this form to enter in the information that they need on their end. I also have pictures for things to be able to contact, show them my policies, things like that. So we're going to go over that. This is my contact information for them and my social medias. And then I have all my booking policies. So I like to explain to them how I collect their personal information, their payment information, what marketing policies I have, and how I'll collect their pictures, my cancellation policy, um, and then I go into the logistics of things. So um, I do travel preferences. This is the qualifying questions that I like to have Archer provided us in our back office. So you could find that under forms in the travel cafe. This first section, section 3, is the questions that Archer outlined for qualifying their clients. So their name, today's date, preferred method of contact, phone number, email, mailing address. This is really important contact information. You need their mailing address to fill out their booking information. You need their email address to enter in booking information and contact information for your suppliers. You need their phone number to contact them, obviously. And then I like to figure out how they found out about me. Some people find out about me on social media. Some people find out about me on my booth or word of mouth from a friend. You can add however many options as you want, as little or more if you like that. And then for the reason for travel, I did multiple choice options for this because sometimes people travel for different reasons. This is a first time inquiry form. So I'm getting and collecting a ton of information compared to if they're a returning client. My returning client forms are more of a scheduling form, and we'll go over that in just a little while. So I like to collect the type of destination that they're going to, the departure date and the return date, their preferred traveling time of day. A lot of people have different preferences. Some people can't travel during the morning, they prefer the night or the afternoon, and vice versa. Um, Sometimes dates are flexible, guys. Sometimes they have, a couple days where they could be flexible, but there's specific dates that they have to travel or have to be at a specific location during their travel. So maybe is always a good option to have there. And then 21 days or sooner, we have qualifications that we have to follow to be approved if they're traveling 21 days or sooner of the departure date. And then over time, I've realized $1,000 and $5,000 if they're not traveling locally isn't really accommodating or a feasible amount of money to be able to travel nowadays. So I did remove that from this form and did start at $5,000 because There are a lot of trips that you could get close to $5,000, just a little under $5,000, but $5,000 is definitely a good starting point. And then, of course, anything over $25,000 is going to be a discussion that you need to have for, like, if it's a group, for example, that's about the price range for a group. And then, do you need a payment plan? Some people don't offer payment plans, some people do. I do. I offer payment plans through Ally Bank and Square. But there's also Uplift that some of our suppliers use, and you can become certified in that as well. So you could also, I highly recommend traveler's insurance. So I already put that there. This is considered a recommendation for traveler's insurance on our credit card authorization form that you can check. Yes, that you've offered it already because they've seen it, and you'll be discussing that in the consultation. Um, you do need to know if they're prepared to make a deposit or not. If they're not prepared to make a deposit, there's amiable tendencies for clients who are not close to making a deposit compared to those that are close to making a deposit. Um, and then how many travelers? I did groups of 5 because anything 6 to 10 and larger are groups, considered groups if you're doing double occupancies. And then the travelers' names, you do need to find out everybody's name, who's traveling with the party, and then how their ages, how old they are, so that you can fill out that information with the suppliers. And then documentation for travel, depending on where they live. Okay, if they're international, they'll have different traveling documentation compared to the United States, where we have different types of documentation, like a real ID or a regular ID, and then also a passport. If they have both the real ID and the passport, I also did put that there because in 2025, we will be required to have a real ID to fly, and we're always required to have a passport to travel internationally. And then if they're traveling in groups of people, do any of the people in the group need to obtain documents? That way, you know, if they need to send documents. For example, I just had a client who's going to Mexico next month, and her husband have passports, but her kids did not. So they needed to obtain documents for their kids to be able to travel internationally. This question was helpful for me to understand how to gear that conversation. In section 4 through 7, these are preferences of how people prefer to travel. Okay. This gives me tons of information. This makes the form really long, but gives me so much information. It cuts down on the time that I need to spend with my clients during the consultation, figuring out what they like to do. And it puts it down on paper for me so that I can reference it later. So we're going to talk about what type of services they're looking for, accommodations for different disabilities, because people with disabilities do love to travel, but are afraid to travel sometimes because their accommodations might not be available, or they don't know that there are accommodations or rental equipment for them to be able to travel domestically and internationally with their disabilities. And then preferred hotel brands. I just looked up top 10 hotel brands, some entry level, some resort, some international, some luxury, and I just kind of gave it a mixture of the two. And then I did the accommodations for the hotel rooms. So what type of accommodations would they need depending on their accessibility for their disability, or if they have a baby, if they like a balcony, if they need connecting rooms or multi-room suites. Ocean theme park view, these are for resorts, really for like a theme park for Disney or Universal, for example, or an ocean view for like a resort on the beach, maybe, and then the standard room. And I just alphabetized everything. So I didn't put it in any specific order. I just alphabetized it all. And then we're getting into flights and airlines. So I put the preferred airport because you need to know where to start them because each city has a different airport and sometimes states have multiple airports. So if your client's flying in California, they have four different airports, Glendale, they have Burbank, they have LAX, they have um, San Francisco. So you have different options. And if the client doesn't answer this type of question, this is a question you need to ask them. So I like to also prefer to find out if they prefer different airlines and then different accommodations for their flights, depending on like their budget, which type of seating they would prefer, if they want a refundable upgrade or not, and then preferred car rental companies, and then accommodations for those rental cars. Because there's so many different types to choose from. This can help you narrow down, especially if they're in a tighter budget. It can help you narrow down, letting them know, hey, so this car, it could be luxury, but you could also go with a full size and get the same type of car for less money and save your clients some money. So just kind of keeping that in mind. This is a really good question to have on your form. And then preferred cruise lines, of course, these are cruise lines based on what I'm certified in. If you're not certified in cruises, if you don't want to do cruises, if you're not going to work with cruise lines, you don't have to put this question in your form. But I do work with cruise lines and I do book cruises. So this is a question that I wanted to put in there as well as the accommodations for the cruises. So the different types of staterooms and then also dining and drink packages. Not all cruise lines are all inclusive. Some cruise lines require you to buy separate dining packages compared to drink packages. So that's why there's two separate options. And then I always recommend cruises come in with flights and hotels before the day before they port. So I also put that option in as well. And then, of course, excursions and private island port, if that's applicable for the cruise line that's available or they're choosing. And then, what port city do they prefer to depart from? This is a really good question to have here because sometimes clients don't know, but are also picky about where they want to go. So, Fort Lauderdale, for example, might be a port that a client prefers over Miami. Maybe they want to go to LA instead. So you'll never know until you ask that type of question. So in section 5, this is for the all-inclusive and specialties. So these are all-inclusive resorts and like different types of options that you would find for like Ryu or for secrets or sandals and beaches, for example. So you would be able to narrow down their options and the perspective preferences for the all-inclusive resorts for different options that are available depending on the resort that they selected. And then also these are similar to the hotel accommodations, but I also put in options from the cruise lines because all-inclusive resorts do have dining and drink packages with excursion options, transfers, and then different types of hotel options as well for their rooms compared to like their villas or over the water bungalows, for example. And then I did put a question in, what type of excursions are you looking for? This is for all types of travel. I did put this in the specialty selection because it is a specialty. Some people don't prefer excursions. Some people are just, I just need the travel, the classic trio, hotel, flight, car, and kind of want to figure it out on their own while they're there and just kind of meander and wander around and figure out what they want to do and buy some tickets for themselves. That's totally fine. But the wedding packages I did put down here in the specialty section too, because sometimes people are looking for a honeymoon package or a wedding package or a wedding and honeymoon package. And then I put a none option because not many people travel occasionally for their wedding or honeymoon. That this is a specialty selection for specifically for weddings and honeymoons. So section 6 and section 6 is for Disney and Universal packages. And I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna show you how I built this form in just a moment. But this is for Disneyland vacations and Universal. So they're choosing where they want to go, and then their theme park admission options, and then if they wanted a professional photo option and the drink package option, because sometimes there's not dining available for these vacation options. Sometimes there is, like Walt Disney World Florida, they do have dining options, but Disneyland doesn't. Universal doesn't. So I didn't put the dining option package. Sorry, I did put a dining package option at the bottom, but it doesn't offer drink packages. So this seventh section, which is the last section, is an agreement to my service fees. If you don't have service fees, you don't have to add this section. You can just leave this section off, or write a little section. Do you agree to sign some consent forms or something of this sort? But I do have service fees, so I did provide them my service fees, what they start at and what that looks like, and then an acknowledgement. Yes, I acknowledge. I did not give them a no option because my service fees are not optional. Okay. Any questions before we move on to building these forms? Let me see.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are you able to send us or send me this form? Because I would love to make mine like that.
So I'm going to teach you how to build it, and this training is being recorded. And so I typically upload my trainings within the day or the next day. And I'm doing some work today, so it should be up by the end of today, if not tomorrow morning. And what team are you on?
Sky.
Okay, I'll be sending it to all of the chats.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So when somebody submits their form, so I've got this attached to my QR code on my business card. It is attached to my link tree. And once I have built a form like this, you can send it through the link with a shortened URL and connect it to your link tree or the long URL, whichever you prefer. But this is how I send it to anybody, to any prospective clients. And your responses show up here. I have some personal information on this section, so I'm not going to keep it on long because this is being recorded. But the responses will show you based on what's selected, like graphs and bar graphs of what type of selections were made. And then you do have a settings option. You can make these this a quiz. You have your response option, collect email addresses, responder copies if you can send the responders a copy of their responses if you want to put that up. And then allowing response editing. I don't allow response editing because I'd have to resend their form back to them. And it's kind of frustrating because the clients, like, I don't know which question I need to respond back to or whatever. And when I tested it out, it was kind of frustrating from myself. So I just don't allow it. That's a preference for me specifically. You don't have to do that for yourself. And then you can also do a presentation. I show the progress bar because my form is pretty long. So I like to show my clients how far along they are in their progress. If they log into the form with their Gmail account, they will be able to um, leave the form and then go back to wherever they left off. However, if you require responses, sorry, if you require to enter in their information verified, then they are required to log into a Google account. And if they don't have one, they have to create one, and it's a whole big mess. And you can potentially lose a client just from that. So, like for example, yesterday I had a client who does not have a Google account and could not log in. I just changed this so they didn't have to collect the email address on the account so I could get their responses and I can continue to work with them. And then I just went back in and changed my setting back. So you can also do that. And all they have to do is refresh their page or back out of the form and come back into the form and it'll change it immediately. You don't even have to do anything with it, with the form itself. Um, so you can also shuffle the question order. I don't have that turned on because my questions are ordered specifically for the sections that they're in and how I like the qualification questions to be put together. And then you can view the results, link it, or to submit another response, and then disable autosave for all responders. Um, and then you have your default options. So this is collect email addresses by default, or you could do like a responder input and then make questions required by default. I do have that because I did have a client who was like, I don't know, and didn't fill out the form at all. So that told me absolutely no information, and going into the consultation, I was completely blind about their preferences, and she's like, "I have no idea," and got really frustrated and, like, started yelling, and I was like, "This is not that big of a deal. We can go over these questions. Don't worry about it. I can explain them to you. Like, it's totally fine." But I've since learned to make these questions required by default. So when we go into building the forms, you'll be able to see how I have the questions asterisked, and then they're required to at least put one answer to move on. Otherwise, it'll say, you've missed this section, or please input something in this section so that you'll be able to move on or something like that. All right. So you are able to customize these themes. I have this customized to my brand color green, and I've selected the darker color, but this is for the background contrast. I like the darker green contrast to the white. I think it makes the form pop, but you can choose whatever you want. And then you can preview the form on its own. So if you go back to the questions, you can preview this. It'll pop open a new um, tab, and then it'll ask you to enter your email and then next. And that's a good way to enter in and collect emails for people instead of having them log into things. Um, but we're going to go over how to build a form. Any questions about the settings before I start building this form? I got this chat box open here too. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. I clicked on blank form. So this is under Google Forms. If you go under, sorry, let's go back. Of course it did. All right, you go to google.com and you sign in. doing trainings. So you sign in to whatever email address that you want to sign into. And then you go to Google Apps and then you scroll down to forms. Okay, just click on the forms. It brings you here. Okay. And then I did a blank form. So this is what it looks like. So it's going to walk us through how to do it. So we're going to say, style your text. Google Forms now has more font options, including styles and sizes. You can choose a different font for headers, questions, and text. Okay, got it. Cool. So we're going to go ahead. It looks like they have a ton of different fonts and drop down options for different mediums as well. So we're just going to keep it simple and keep it for, excuse me, whatever it's set to. So we can choose a header image. I don't prefer the headers because it just kind of takes up space, but I like this one. This one's cute. So we're going to insert the image. Boom. And it also changed the color to match and be close to whatever is in the header as well. And you can change this color here by selecting one of these, or you can add your own, play around with this. I like this color. We're just going to do that. And then add, and then, of course. All right, so we're just going to keep it darker. It's better contrast for me. So now that we've selected our theme, we've uploaded an image, we're going to start building an inquiry form. And then the description, you can put whatever you like. I did like an introduction to my brand, who I am, my hours of operations, how to contact me, to schedule an appointment, things like that. And then this is an automatic question that you can edit. Okay, so untitled question. This could be name. I did legal first and last name because some people go by nicknames and we can't have that on our forms when we're trying to qualify our clients and they provide us an ID with a completely different name. You're trying to fill out information for your clients on the suppliers and you've already filled them out based on this form compared to their ID, and it's a whole big mess after that. So I do the legal first and last name, and then you can also do Google Images, travel, and then, ooh, that's pretty. We're going to insert this. So you can insert a picture into this section. It didn't work. That's so funny. Something went wrong. Try again. Cool. We're not going to do that again. So this is the answer line for them to enter their name. And it's a short answer. So you can change this option to a paragraph, multi-choice, checkbox, drop down, file upload, linear scale. There's a new section for ratings, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, date, and time. I just want to let you know though, the date is for the date of whatever is selected for the day that your client is filling it out, but the time is set to your time zone. So if your client's trying to fill this out and they're in a completely different time zone, it will not work for them. So I had the time on my form in the past, and I was working with somebody who lives in Arizona. So at the time that they were in Pacific Standard Time and not Mountain Time, and I'm in Central Time. So they were like, yeah, I'd have to convert my time to your time. So what's your time zone? And I was like, I'm in Central. And so they entered the time. And then I realized this form saves with a timestamp on it. So you don't have to enter the time on the form or have your client enter the time because when they submit the form, it's timestamped. Um, so we're gonna leave that. You can duplicate this and this question. You can delete it. This is the required option to check it for the question to indicate that it's required for the asterisk right here. And then there's different options for description and response validation. Um, so oops, sorry. You don't have to do this. Okay. That's just complicated, right? And then the description, you can add descriptions to this to explain this is going to be used to communicate with the person who will be working with me on a regular basis or something like that. Just kind of explaining to the client why you need this information. But you don't need that either. So there is an add button. You can add a question and it'll just add them right underneath. So we're going to just add a few questions, right? And then you can import questions. I don't have any questions on this email like I do on my other email. This is a different account. But I can share this form, I can share it with my other account, and then I'll be able to import the questions. This is a title description. So you can move this around and use it for, personal information. And then the description, I will be using the information provided to be able to book travel on your behalf, or something of the sort. And then you add an image right here. So a lot of people ask me, how do I put these pictures in on my form? The pictures I showed you guys earlier. I just selected upload and then browse, and then it pulls up my filing system, and then I scroll down, and then you'll be able to see uh, let's do this one. You'll be able to see this is a flyer. Okay, this is a flyer I use for my events, and follow us on social media. Okay, you can also edit the font here as well. So highlight, edit, boom, it's bold. What if you don't want it bold? You want it italicized. There it goes. It's italicized. But if you don't want it like that, you want it underlined instead. That's cool. Let's say you wanted to do a website link, https://www.bonviagebookings.com, and you wanted to make it a clickable link to copy paste. Now it's a link that you can enter. So we're going to view this on the form, and now you can click on it. Here's my website. Boom, done. So what you want to do is make sure that when you're setting this up, that you'll be able to you can set this up for any link, https://link tree / Bon Viaggio bookings, and then make it a link. Oops. Excellent. And then click it here. Boom. This is the form that I have here. Okay, I set this up. And then here's all my social medias up here, and also different website options. So browse our website, book our services, buy event tickets, find a Disney vacation, join your Facebook group, rate us on Yelp, become a Linktree fan. Cool. And then you'll be able to go back and change that. Let's say you don't want it to be a link anymore. Just click the link option so that it is gone. And then you can also strike through this as well. So remove formatting. Awesome, right? And then just gonna leave it there for a second. And then, okay, so we have different options for the questions. I'm gonna build a question for each option that you have. So this is for travelers in your party. And then, so this is a paragraph option to give them more room and options to enter their text on different lines. And then we need hotel accommodations. So this is a multiple choice, but I want it to be a checkbox. So we're going to add option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. Okay. And then we're going to do airline accommodations. And then that's a multiple choice grid. So you can choose airline, and then also you can choose like the seating options. So we're going to add a row, add a row, add a row, add a column, add a column, add a column. And then that's how, and then you can just customize it. So you just click in the row, and then so this is for United Airlines economy. Basic. And then this could be American Airlines. And then this is premium. If I could spell. Economy, because I can't spell today. And then this is Delta KLM Airlines. And then this is business class. And then this is you know, but you see here, this is JetBlue. And then this is first class. But to be honest with you, I don't really like this setup because you can't choose the airline specifically. You can only choose the seating, right? So what you want to do is do the checkbox and then do the airline accommodations, or you could do a multiple choice. This is just the one single option. And then I'm also going to do, so for like Disney, the multiple choice grid would be an option for Disney, depending on, or like an all-inclusive resort, for example, depending on like what type of resort that you want to send your clients to. So room, sorry. And then you could do a checkbox, and then you can add multiple columns and just keep the one row. And that would make sense for doing rows and columns. So this would be a standard room, or this could be, a family suite. And then they could have different room accommodation options. So you kind of get the gist of how these questions are built. And then you can also add a video. So I'm going to do trainings. We're going to look for, I'm just going to add this. This is my most recent video. You can also add this at the top. like I said, you can move this around. So this could be like like, let's say you have an introductory. You can have an introduction video right here at the top, kind of introducing yourself. If you're not a faceless brand and you do want to be able to, welcome your potential guests, that could be an option. Filming yourself a video, like a high quality resolution, dressed in like a really nice outfit or something with your hair or makeup done. That would be really nice to see at the beginning of a form, just kind of introducing who you are. Hi, welcome to Bon Viaggio Bookings. My name is Caitlin Cordani. I'm a licensed travel agent and I do all inclusive everything for you. And this form is basically going to tell me how you like to travel and go into detail about that. Or you can do like a script, you can do any type of things, right? And then let's say you wanted to add those sections that I have. I have 7 sections on my form. So this is an introduction, right? But I want to add this section. I already have this personal information already put together. So um qualifications. I could do qualifications section. This is going to be used to collect your travel preferences. So, and then the personal info, you can move this out of a section. So let's say you wanted to move it here. Boom. So I just moved all my personal information out of this section so that it's blocked off on the first top section of the form. And then the section that I need all of their personal information is separate from that. So that's how I sectioned everything out of my form. Any questions about this? We have about 15 minutes left of this training. Thanks. Carmen said that she loves how I'm always constantly promoting my brand. I really appreciate that. I'm actually not trying to be a marketing genius or anything, but I'm just using my brand as an example for you guys to understand, like, this is how you could use this form to market your own brand. So I really love that. Thanks for pointing that out. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I just really I want to take the time to answer everybody's questions. Thank you. I try. I try really hard to be a great representative for not just my brand, but for you guys too. I really love you guys and my teams. All right, so I'm taking silences, no questions. So we're gonna go ahead and review this form and I'm gonna show you how to fill it out. Okay, so this is reviewing the form. Okay, so you can click on the video and I'm not gonna play the video. It's 7 minutes and showing you guys how to set up an event table. So if you want to go check that out, you can see it. But this is how my clients can get in touch with me. Okay. And then it gives them an option for my social medias too. And then also, so this is going to be used to collect your personal preferences. So my name is Caitlin Cordani, and then I'm a travelers party in my Antonio. So I have to travel with a travel companion because I'm disabled. So my husband is considered my travel companion. So I'm gonna choose option 2 for hotel accommodations. I'm just gonna pretend that there's options here for like Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, things like that. And then I like the premium economy. You can also clear this section too if you don't like it. Try it again, do it a different option. And then here's what it looks like for the different columns for your family suite. Okay. And then I believe for these grids, you can choose multiple different options for the grids and you can do them out like this instead. instead of the long questions, it kind of takes up less options. So we're going to submit this form. Okay. This is the link to submit another response. So if you clicked on it, it's just going to start you over. Okay. But I do want to show you how to get the responses, guys. So the responses are here. This is my personal information. I am providing this information to you guys for YouTube's qualifications for this recording. I am providing it for training purposes. So this is all the information that's filled out on the form. Okay. And like I mentioned, these are bar graphs and circle graphs that are available for you guys to be able to see what options are selected the most. So you don't have to delete these responses after you filled them into a sheet. But I do want you to know that you can link this to a Google Sheet, and I'm doing Google Sheet trainings next week, Wednesday at the same time. So don't miss that one. So we're going to link this to a sheet. So we're going to do inquiry form responses and then create. Excellent. Boom. It's popped up everything that's in your sheet. Drop down chips. Add drop down chips to make your data more trackable and visually pleasing. Your data won't be changed and no one will be notified. Cool. All right, so we'll be going over this form, these Google Sheets next week, but I just want you to know that when you connect responses to a sheet like this, it does show you what options were selected for the different types of accommodations. So this is really awesome because it already organizes it for you, ready to go, but you don't have to. You can get it right from the response section on the form itself. Questions, because we are done with Google Forms.
Caitlin, I have a question.
Sure.
So when you have all of those different sections,
Yep.
uh,
Are you speaking about my form directly?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so how do you get those different sections?
So
Are
you
you
add a
just
section.
continuing? Yeah, so are you just continuing on with the information, or are you specifically designating these particular sections?
So the sections are specifically designated for me.
Okay.
You can continue the form with 0 selections. Sections. The sections break them down page to page. So
Okay.
when you view the form and you're filling it out, this first section had a next button. And then the next button took us to the accommodations and the information I needed to collect, right?
Okay.
So when you're selecting to add a section, you want to make sure that this is the last option that you're on and editing before adding a selection. So this is the add a selection button down here at the bottom of this. It won't let me scroll the page and it stay. So I'm just highlighting it here where my mouse is. It's add a section for these 2 bars. And then it does give you a section and it breaks it up. It breaks up the form. It's easier for me, honestly, to be able to keep track of what I'm doing. And it also helps the client feel less overwhelmed when they're filling out the form because it's less information on the page.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was actually getting at. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, if you accidentally add something or and want to delete it, you can just go to more and then duplicate, move, delete, or merge with above. So I'm going to go ahead and merge this with the above. And now it's just one of 2 sections. because I merged that second section that we just created and it went away. But let's say you you accidentally added a section in the middle of what you were doing and you wanted to delete it, you can delete that. Yes, delete it. Bye-bye. It's gone. So it's no longer. Ooh. Did it delete the whole thing? Oh, it deleted the whole thing. So I'm going to teach you how to go back. There's an undo button. Okay. Boom. So we're going to move this section to the bottom. There. Okay. So we've got one of three. So you want to move these questions out of the section first. So like I mentioned, you can move these out of the section. You don't want it to go with. Okay, you want to keep all of these questions. And now it's at the bottom, so it has nothing attached to it. Now you can delete the section and it's gone. But it's kept, and all of your questions that you had underneath that section is there. Okay, so you saw how I deleted the section and took all the questions with it. If you do that in the middle of questions, just you can click undo, or you can move everything out of the way and then delete the section itself. I think the undo button is pretty easy. Any more questions before this training ends? I'd love to get to everybody's questions.
Okay, so then when you create the spreadsheet at the end, after you've compiled all the data, you can then take your spreadsheet and upload it into your CRM, correct?
Yes, that's an amazing question. I really like that question. You can export this sheet to download Microsoft Excel, open document. You can create a PDF. I don't have this information downloaded. When I collect multiple responses, it just adds to the sheet. And I don't want to keep making different options. But you can definitely download web page, CSV and TSV tab separated values, which is these tabs separated values. But you can import from a different form as well. And then if you wanted to export it into an Excel and then import that Excel into your CRM, you can definitely do that. I believe the open document can do that too.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any more questions?
That's it for me. I was just trying to run the clock out.
Well, you did a great job, Carmen, of running that clock, because we got about a minute left. So I'm just gonna say thank you so much to everybody who attended. I really appreciate your time. And I am looking forward to you guys coming to my next week's training on these Google Sheets. And I hope that you guys have a fabulous day. I'm gonna stop this recording.